know how to make a solution. All you need is a solute and a solvent. And if your solute is truly soluble in your solvent, soluble means capable of being dissolved, then the two join forces and work as one in a solution. But what if your solid is not soluble in this liquid? No matter how much you stir or shake, the best you can get is the solid suspended in the liquid for a little while before it settles out. While it's all mixed up with the liquid, we call it a suspension. You can often find this same suspension of silicon dioxide sand in the wavy waters at the coast. And what about calcium carbonate, chalk dust? It was not soluble in water either. The solid particles don't seem to be as heavy in the water, so it stays suspended longer. But eventually, it settles, meaning the solid particles separate into layers according to their weight. Neither silicon dioxide sand nor calcium carbonate chalk dust were soluble in water. They did not dissolve. That's why they just worked side by side with the water until they settled out. There are many different forms of suspensions, but you can investigate those in your follow-up work. Now that you know about solutions, where one substance is soluble in the other, meaning it dissolves and they work together, and suspensions, where nothing dissolves and they just hang out together until one settles out, we can start to use our knowledge to discover new things and solving problems. For instance, I put some flour and some baking soda into these two bags, but I forgot to label them. Now I'm not sure which is which. I know from cooking that baking soda is soluble in water and that flour is not. Let's do an experiment and see which one dissolves to form a solution and which one just forms a suspension. I'll start with this one. I've got the same solvent we've been using before and the same amount in each container. It's just regular old water. This time I'm going to use measuring spoons to make sure I get a really precise amount. So I've got 1/4 teaspoon of the first substance. It's all clumped up at the top. It's okay. I'm going to set this down next to it so I don't forget which is which. And we'll stir. We'll see what happens and compare it to what happens with the other substance. Looks like it's getting pretty mixed up. It's all cloudy though. We'll have to wait and see if it turns clear again as the solute is dissolved. I always set my stirrer down with the side I pick up towards me so I don't get mixed up and contaminate if I need to use it again. Now the second substance. I'll use the same kind of measuring spoon, a 1/4 teaspoon. So I make sure that the amount of what I'm putting in isn't changing the experiment instead of which substance I'm putting in. While you're watching this one stir, you can think about what's happening in the other one and compare. If I really wanted to be precise, I would time my stirring and make sure I stir them the same amount. What do you observe about the two containers? Let's examine our first mystery substance first. What do you notice? It looks like it's lost some of that cloudiness, but can you still see the solid substance? I think I can, right there at the bottom. Yeah, it has definitely settled out. What about our second substance? What do you notice about that? The liquid looks pretty clear. I don't think I can see any solids at all. It looks like our second substance was dissolved. So our first substance mixed all up together and got cloudy, but then the solid gradually settled out at the bottom. With our second substance, it mixed all up with the liquid and pretty quickly turned clear. And the solids did not settle back out. They remained one with the liquid. So, if one of these is a solution and one of them is a suspension, which is which? A suspension has particles of one substance suspended in a liquid until it settles out. Well, that sounds like mystery substance number 1. A solution is two substances that like each other so much that one of them, a liquid, that we call the solvent, dissolves the other, and they work together. We wanted to know which was flour and which was baking soda, and we knew that only baking soda was soluble in water. So which one was the baking soda? It must have been the one that dissolved to form a solution. And the other one, that formed a suspension, was the flour. Through this simple experiment, we've discovered something new about these substances that we didn't know about before. Now I'm going to go bake a cake. Science is delicious. We have a lot more lessons at Guidepost with activities that you can do at home or school. You can try out one of my favorites right here in the video description before moving on to the next lesson in this playlist.